In this video, I'll be sharing with you my weekly stock market analysis for the week of 1st to the 5th of April 2024. Right, so in this video, I'll start off by taking a look at the price action of the indexes, so the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and the IWM, followed by the stocks that I'm currently holding in my portfolio, and also a recap of some of the better trades and the worst trades that I made for the month of March, right? So because this is just the start of April, so I usually do my recap, or at least I go through my previous month's trades at the end of the month or at the start of the next month, right? So over the weekend I actually did revision of all the trades that I make in March, and then these are some of the better trades and some of the worst performing trades that I've taken in the month of March, and I will be sharing with you some of that. Right, so let's first take a look at the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 has been trending up quite nicely, right? So if we go out from the day-to-day price action, we see that actually the S&P 500 has been moving on a very steady uptrend, right? So it has been trending above its 10 and 21 day moving average, so you can see it has been trending up very nicely, right? But actually under the surface, there's a bit of rotation in the stocks, right? And we'll see as we go on to the Nasdaq later on, you will see that actually there's a rotation from like the tech stocks or the mega cap stocks to more industrial kind of stocks, right? So there was this rotation happening underneath the indexes, right? So for the S&P 500, because it takes a basket of the top 500 stocks, so in terms of the rotation, it's not so evident in the price action. But as we go to a more tech-focused Nasdaq, we'll see later on that there's actually been a rotation in the stocks, right? So that's for the S&P 500. Now let's take a look at the Nasdaq, right? So the Nasdaq over here was the 1st of March, and then we end off on the 28th of March, right? So basically for this one whole month, the Nasdaq has been moving sideways, right? So if you're a trader who trades primarily in like growth stocks, you notice that for the month of March, actually trading has been a bit more choppy, right? So you can see that prices have just been moving sideways. Then whenever it goes up, it goes down, goes up over here, then it declines, right? So the Nasdaq has been choppy. The reason being is, like I mentioned at the start of the video, right? There's been a rotation of money out from like the tech stocks into more like industrial. So for example, recently the metals, so the precious metals industry has been performing. The mining industry has been performing. So like these are the stocks that are not included in the Nasdaq, right? So but they are included in the S&P 500. So as you can see for the S&P 500, right? The S&P 500, like on a monthly basis, right? So we started at over on this candle here to where we are on Thursday. You see that the S&P 500 actually went up for the month of March, but for the Nasdaq it has been flat. Right, so that's something to pay attention to for this rotation in stocks under the market indexes. The next one is the IWM. So on top of like just the rotation, right, there's also been a noticeable shift in like from the large cap stocks to smaller cap stocks, right? So and we can see that in the IWM. So the IWM tracks like the smaller cap stocks, smaller to mid cap stocks, and you can see that IWM actually is breaking out of its base over here, right? So this is a multi-year base. So the base formed back over here in around Jan 2022, right? So 2 years later, we are finally breaking out, right? So whether this breakout can hold, it's we can only wait and see. But then right now, at least as of the filming of this video, the IWM is above, and it broke above its breakout level. So that's something positive if you are trading in small to mid cap stocks, which I am, right? So if you guys have been watching my previous videos, you know that I tend to only trade in stocks. Then I tend to only trade in small to mid cap stocks, right? So that's a quick update about the indexes. Now let's take a look at the stocks that I currently own. So the first one is XPOF. right? So before I talk about the individual stocks, you'll notice that currently have only 2 positions in my portfolio. So reason being is because the markets has been also a bit more choppy. So I actually got stopped out of a couple of names on Thursday, right? So which is why you're only seeing 2 stocks remaining in my portfolio compared to on average I tend to have around 6 to 7 stocks, right? So for XPOF, I bought on this day over here, so the 25th of March, and then I sold slightly less than half at the 3R profit target over at this green line over here. So right now I already have moved my stop from to at least break even or better, right? So regardless of the outcome of this trade, I'll be up on this trade, right? So I'll definitely make some profits on this trade, even if prices move down and stop me out on my other half of my position. I'll definitely still make a profit on this trade because I already secured slightly less than half of my position at this level here at the 3R profit target. So barring any major gap downs, then yeah, this trade is profitable for me already. The next one is coin. So I actually been trading in and out of coin for the past couple of weeks, right? So I actually started trading over here, right? Then I exited my full position over here on the break below this 10-day moving average. Then I bought back on this day over here as it broke above this downtrend line. I tried to add on this day over here, but then as you can see, the subsequent days prices broke back down and then stopped me out. So when I try to scale up over here, my scale up position I was stopped out over here, but I still have my existing initial position. So I'm still holding on this, and then like let's see whether coin can continue to hold at this level, right, at its 10-day moving average, and then if it breaks out, I'll definitely look to scale my position back in again, right? So that's for coin. So the next part of the video, I'll be sharing with you some of the better trades that I've made in the month of March, and also some of the not so good trades, right? So over here is a screenshot of my trading journal. So take note, right, this is percentage gain. That means in terms of like how much percentage the stocks move, but this is not indicative of how much gain I make on my total equity. It's just the individual gains of each stock. So over here, some of the better trades was this 46% move, and also this 117% move, right? So I'll be sharing with you the stocks that make this move, and the worst performing one was this one over here, so negative 17%, right? So we'll start off with the better performing trades that I made last month, right? So that another thing to take note, this is not all of my trades. I've taken more trades in the month of March than this screenshot, but I only screenshotted this area because this area combined both the best trades I made and also the worst trades that I made in the month of March, right? So for the first one, it was on this stock GOEV, right? So I entered my position on this day over here, right? Then it moved up, it gap up the next day, right? Then I sold some of my position, so initial half of my position on this day over here because it hit my 3R profit target, and then the remaining one I sold it over here, right? So you can see from, let's take our price to, so from here to around here, yeah, so you got like that 40+% move, right? So over here it registered 46%. So reason being is because I sold it at a higher one. So if you see if I move it slightly higher, so I'm taking a rough gauge, right? I don't know exactly the price level that I sell, but it should be around here. So like 46 to 47%. Over here is 46.38%, right? So I exited my initial position on this day, and then probably the other half on this gap down over here. So if you average out, it's about 46%. So that's the first trade that one of the better trades that I take in March. Then the next one is this stock called CZOO. So I actually posted this trade on Twitter, so you can check out my Twitter. I break down exactly why I took the trade. So I did not buy on this day over here. So I break my rule in that sense, right? Because this was the breakout day, but for some reason or another, I missed this trade, right? So usually because my rule is to only buy on the breakout, and I don't want to buy extended stocks, right? But then This one was an exception because the technicals was lining up very well, right? So strong move over here, then you see it also on above average volume, move sideways on very low volume, and then it break out on high volume, right? So you can see the volume is like 11 times the average. And then and after doing my own deep dive of the fastest moving stocks, right, I seen this pattern multiple times, right? So I know that like if this is really a powerful stock, it will continue to move after its breakout day, right? So that was one thing I also I took note. And another thing is, even though that, okay, I know that like after doing my studies, I know that like, okay, if it's really a good stock and a very fast moving stock and a strong stock, it'll move the next day after its breakout day, I still manage my risk properly, in the sense that I use a very tight stop. So if I know that, okay, if prices go below a certain level, then I know my thesis is wrong and I'm out of the trade, right? So having a tight stop helped me manage my risk, but it also allowed me to take on a bigger position size. So when it comes to trading, right, like yes, you can make like a huge percentage gain on an individual stock, but if your position sizing is not big, then the amount that you make on your total equity might not be as high as you want it to be, right? So which is why when I show you this screenshot, right, I mentioned that this is the percentage gain made by the individual stock and not the percentage gain on my total equity, right? So that's a different thing. So more of the thing that I also took away from this trade in CZOO is that I should have used an even bigger position size, right? So even though I use a bigger position size than my normal, right, I could have used a even bigger position size. So I think that's something that for me to reflect and learn how to improve from there, right? So because like I mentioned, if with a bigger position size, I could have made much more on this trade. So that's something that I took away from this trade, right? So anyways, so I entered my position on this deal over here, right? So I took half of my profit here, and then like during intraday I also scale up. So I'll show you where I scale up exactly on this stock, right? So over here, right? So I bought on the opening, right? So it went up, then I took slightly less than half off at the 3-hour profit target. And then I noticed that on the 5-minute chart, right, it's setting up again over here. So over here, there's a bit of a cup with handle / VCP pattern, right? So I on this breakout over here, I scaled up my position, and this one I scaled up quite a bit, right? So then I set it intraday to sell it at this green line over here. So I sold all my position at this price level of 13.34. So if you take the price to from here to here, yeah, it's 114%, right? So you can see that I made 117%. So that's how that's one of my trade that I made for the month of March, right? So this was one of the better performing one. Now let's go on to the not so good trade. So this was GNLN. Right, so there are multiple reasons why this trade did not work out, and I really studied it. So firstly, whenever a stock put a very long upper wick, right, so it tends to, the breakout immediately after that tends to fail. Reason being is because this long upper wick suggests that there's overhead supply, right? So there's still quite a bit of overhead supply. Reason is because prices move up, and then sellers start to sell and it break back below the breakout level, right? So I ignored that and I bought it on the breakout level over here. So that's the first mistake, right? I shouldn't have even entered my position in this stock because of the long upper wick. The second one is after prices broke above and it went down, right? So it went and closed back below the breakout level. At that point, I should have at least sold half, if not all of my position. So because if prices, I bought the reason why I bought the stock is because the stock breaks out, right? So if it breaks below that breakout level, then I should be selling. But I did not sell it until it hit my stop loss, right? So by the time it hit my stop loss, I made a loss of 17%, right? So that's something. This is one of the worst trade that I made in March, right? So not just because of the percentage loss, but also because there are some rules that I have established and I did not follow to plan, right? So that's one of the reasons why it's not a good trade for me for March. That's a recap of some of the trades that I made in March, right? So hopefully you have enjoyed and learned something from this video. I'll see you in the other videos to your financial success.